Hey, Disney fans. Welcome to Ports and Palaces podcast. It is April 22nd, and today we'll be discussing different offerings of character dinings on Disney World property.
Good morning, everyone. Happy Tuesday. As a travel agent that specializes in Disney, this is a question I get asked a lot. Where are the character dining options on property? Well, today we are breaking that down. We will look at options in the parks and resorts, as well as which ones we love and which ones we think are a one and done.
Or dare I say, just skip altogether. We will pit some of them head to head and see which character dining offerings come up on top.
Well, before we dive into these restaurants, let's go over some overall tips when it comes to character dining. So we've talked about this several times, but reservations open 60 days in advance for table service restaurants. All of these character dinings that we're going to talk about are table service. So we recommend setting alarms for popular picks like what we're going to talk about here at that 60-day mark right at 6 a.m. Eastern time. The earliest breakfast is also going to include early park entry. So you really want to kind of think about if you're doing your earliest breakfast time and it's kind of running into early park entry, that is eating up your rope dropping time. So just kind of play that out by ear. But just a tip from a pro over here, we like to pick our breakfast times after rope drop. We like to do our rope drop and then have breakfast. So don't think always that earliest breakfast means the best option. Everything's timed out. Then a time-saving strategy would be character dining can help avoid waiting in long lines for meet and greets. So with the changeover from Genie Plus to Lightning Lane Multipass, another thing is to think about your time-saving strategies when you're looking at character dining. So with the change from Genie Plus to Lightning Lane Multipass, character meet and greets have been taken off the table. There is no Lightning Lane options for that. So when you're looking at character dining, that may actually end up helping you. Even though it is table service, it could be an hour to an hour and a half. That's less time waiting in lines to meet these characters. Also, most character dinings are going to be buffet or prefix, and that means it's a set cost. So buffet is like you go up and get your food, and then prefix is more like we call it like table family style. So they bring everything to your table, but it's kind of all set in their portions and things like that. So just know that going in, it's rare to find a character dining meal that is a la carte, or you'd have people just come in and buy some fries and wait around for characters. So they do.
No point in that.
Yeah. So Disney's going to keep a kind of price on that. And then you also want to be prepared to have good photo ops and autographs. So we have an autograph book that we like to use. Mm-hmm. It's become a treasured thing in our house. But most character dinings do also give like autograph cards. If you don't want a book, they'll give you that. So with that said, let's dive headfirst into character dining in the parks. First up is Animal Kingdom.
All right, so Tusker House. It is actually buffet only. Personally, I'm not a big fan of it, but the character interactions there are amazing. It is set in Africa. Mickey, Goofy, Donald, and Daisy are all in safari adventure costumes. Mm-hmm. They dance around and really interact with the kids really well and stuff like that. They make sure they go to every single table, which is cool. Breakfast there is somewhat lacking, but I did like the lunch and dinner options for the buffets.
Yeah, I thought it was different. Like it wasn't your standard scrambled eggs, things like that. Like it was kind of different palettes. Mm-hmm. I liked that a lot. There are two things Chad said, and I realized I forgot to mention in our regular tips, but we are going to give you like the standard characters you might see that are pretty common, but these characters do change. So there's no guarantee that these are the characters you're going to see, but these are the ones that you're more than likely going to see. And there was something else.
That's okay. Some of the characters tend to switch out at Tusker House. More specifically, more often we would see Mickey, Goofy, and Donald. Daisy would actually come into the mix, but not quite as often, or she would switch out with Goofy, typically the couple of times that we've gone there.
Or sometimes Donald's sick.
Exactly.
Someone else just pops in. So just know on all of these ones that we're saying, the characters could switch around. That's actually it for Animal Kingdom. So just that one. Now we're going to go over to Epcot. And the first dining experience we're going to talk about is at Akershus, which is in Norway. This is kind of your princess option in Epcot. You might see Belle, Aurora, Jasmine, Snow White, Tiana, or Rapunzel. So typically 4 princesses will be there at one time. And now I just remembered my other tip I was going to say. All the characters will come to your table at some point. They're not all maybe going to come in the correct order, or you might see one at one table and they disappear for a while. They will all get to you, but that's why when you're making your reservations, it says 60 to 90 minutes to see all characters because they've got to go through the entire restaurant. I knew it would come back to me.
So keep in mind, Akershus actually has character dining for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Next up is Garden Grill. By far the coolest aspect of this is that the pavilion that the grill is in rotates. It is part of the Living with the Land set of buildings. In the Seasons Pavilion, you'll meet Mickey, Pluto, and Chippendale. Now, kind of talking about something that Kirsten mentioned earlier, the characters don't exactly come around to the tables in order. In fact, the weird thing was at the Garden Grill Pavilion, we actually saw Chippendale over and over and over. Mickey and Pluto did eventually make their way over to us. Once again, it is a rotating restaurant. So Garden Grill specifically does provide the trifecta of breakfast, lunch, and dinner. The characters are once again very cute, very interactive. Building, rotating, giving different views of the park is pretty cool. But this was kind of a one and done for us. The breakfast is bland, not to be a negative Nancy, but the dinner is really cool as they use ingredients from Living with the Land. But honestly, you are more there for the sights and the character interactions.
Also in Epcot is Akershus. That's the princess dining for Epcot. That's over in the Norway Pavilion, and you might find princesses like Belle, Aurora, Jasmine, Snow White, Tiana, or Rapunzel. You're more than likely not going to see all of these princesses at the same time, but they do rotate. You'll typically see 4. This dining experience is breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Their menus obviously change, but the princesses are there for the whole day. So you can go for breakfast, lunch, or dinner. Alrighty, next up is Hollywood Studios, just a quick Skyliner away from Epcot over at Hollywood Studios, and we're going to get started on the character dining there.
All right, so just a hot, quick step over to Toy Story Land. We have Roundup Rodeo Barbecue. This serves lunch and dinner. So the downside is this is not a character meal. Very confusing. So we wanted to mention it and clarify this now. It is very interactive throughout the lunch or dinner, whatever time you go. They will have certain times where Andy walks through the room, supposedly, and everybody has to freeze and stuff like that, so they don't get spotted as living toys and whatnot. Yeah,
the thought behind this restaurant is that you are a toy now, so you're kind of shrunken down to the size of a toy, and you'll hear Andy's footsteps and everyone go, Andy's coming. You're supposed to freeze while he's in the room. And there is this huge statue of like Bo Peep and her sheep, and it's huge. And so it's supposed to give this perspective that you're now to the size of a toy. But there are no characters there.
All of the decorations are to scale. So you're the size of the toy.
Yeah, you feel like it. But this question gets asked a lot. I find it on social media, and then also clients ask about the character meal for Toy Story. There is currently not one. That is not a character meal. So we wanted to mention that. Hopefully that doesn't confuse people when they're hearing it in this podcast that says character dining. But that is not a character meal. Something that is a character meal in Hollywood Studios is Hollywood and Vine. It is close to the front of the park, kind of by Gertie the dinosaur. This restaurant actually kind of has 2 separate dining options. So for breakfast, you have like the Disney Junior breakfast, and that's got Fancy Nancy, Goofy, Doc McStuffins, and Vampirina. This is a cute little breakfast spot. You'll hear us say that a lot. A lot of the breakfast on property is pretty much the same, no matter where you are. And that's kind of the case here. It's good. It's not amazing. I wish the characters would be a little more modernized, but they're still cute. We like Doc McStuffins, so
I have no idea who Fancy Nancy is.
It's because we don't really watch her. She's not, from what I see, she's kind of snobbish, but it's okay. And then for lunch and dinner, you have Minnie's Seasonal Dine. And so you could find a rotating group of characters here. It's more than likely going to be your Fab 5, though. So Minnie, Mickey, Donald, Goofy, things like that. Sometimes Pluto comes in the mix, but for the most part, it's going to be sticking to your Fab 5. Something that's really cool about this dining experience is that it is seasonal, so it changes. So you have like your holiday dine, they'll do like the springtime dine, the Halloween dine. So it's got 4 different ones. There's one that's like the silver screen dine in like that January, February time when they're doing like the Grammys and the Oscars. And so this is really cool. So you can kind of rotate through, even though you've maybe been there before, you get to see different characters, different costumes. The theming is really cool here, but every time we have gone, I have gotten sick. So either there's something there.
Every time
that
fails.
Yeah. So there's either something there I don't like, or it's just coincidental. The food's good. I enjoy eating it, but I get sick every single time. So take that for what you will. That's Hollywood and Vine. Now for Magic Kingdom. This is, your main part, and it's got 3 different dining options. So first up is Cinderella's Royal Table. As it kind of implies, this is inside the Cinderella castle in the park. So this is just a really cool, iconic food choice. This is going to be your main princess area. So Cinderella, Snow White, Ariel, Jasmine, Sleeping Beauty, or Aurora, Belle, the princesses like that are going to be there. Princesses, just like at Akershus, they do rotate. So you're more than likely going to see 4 of them, but you're not going to see all of them. It is open for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. This is pricey. It was kind of a one and done for us. The theming is amazing. I mean, how many people can say that? Yeah, like they've died in the castle, so but cool. Just very pricey. Just know that going in.
Hide your wallets, dads.
It's very cool. Overall, we thought the breakfast was better than the lunch and dinner here. In line with Princesses, Be Our Guest is also considered a character dining. It's at Beast's Castle in Fantasyland. But in all actuality, I don't consider it character dining. The Beast is the only person you're actually going to meet. You can't see me. Obviously, this is a podcast, but I'm using air quotes. You're going to meet him, but he doesn't come to your table. He doesn't pose for photo ops. He just kind of walks around and waves at people. So not really, to me, considered a character dining experience. It is only open for lunch and dinner. To us, this is not worth the cost that they ask you to pay. It's not worth it. It used to be quick service and it was amazing. It was a greit's meal. It's not anymore.
Next up, we have Crystal Palace. This is probably one of my absolute favorites for the breakfast and lunch. So there is a little bit of overlap in their menu towards the end of breakfast time and the beginning of lunch time. So catch that if you can.
Yes, good old brunch time.
For this eatery specifically, I don't really see the point of having a prefixed meal. Go for the buffet, 100%.
There is no prefixed meal. It's only buffet.
Prefixed meal. Okay, well, even better. But no, the breakfast items were great. The lunch items were great. Kind of a mix and match of the two if you caught it at the right time. What time did we go? Like 10 a.m., something like that?
Our reservation the last time we went was 10:45. And so we were able to catch the end of breakfast and the beginning of lunch. So it was perfect timing.
So try to shoot for like 10:30 a.m.
Yeah, 10:30, 10:45. Something to note is that a lot of people talk about the churro waffles. This is where you find them. So Disney Cruise, it's offered at one time during your cruise, but for Disney World, this is where you find those churro waffles that everyone talks about. So Crystal Palace.
They are absolutely delicious. Some of the characters that you can meet there are Winnie the Pooh. You can meet Tigger, Piglet even. Piglet is a lot bigger than I thought he would be. Is Piglet a he or she? Can't remember.
I don't know. I'm going to go he.
Doesn't really matter, but you can meet Eeyore too. Surprising that he walks around on 2 legs instead of 4. You can also meet the rabbit there too. But from what we noticed, Eeyore and the rabbit like to switch out.
Yeah.
I think don't Pooh and Piglet switch out too.
I'm not sure on that. I know you're guaranteed 4 of them. Rabbit seems to be the one that's kind of the one-off. Typically we see Pooh, Tigger, Piglet, and Eeyore.
So as Kirsten was talking about, the churro waffles, amazing. Get them. Even if you don't like churros, if you like cinnamon in general, go try it. Try it at least once.
They're delicious.
This is probably, and I'll say it again, probably one of our favorite meals on property at Magic Kingdom.
Yes. So next, before we move on to the resorts, we're actually going to kind of give best of the parks. So if you are planning, your one and done trip to Disney World, or is this your first time to Disney World, here are our we actually did top 5. Yeah. Our top 5 best of the parks. So the overall winner is Crystal Palace. I'm sure that's not surprising, seeing as we talked about that restaurant the most, but it's amazing. The breakfast, the lunch, everything is amazing. It's right off of Main Street and the castle in Magic Kingdom. So the location is really nice. Overall winner, definitely Crystal Palace. Overall best breakfast we gave to Akershus. This has a really interesting breakfast. It's not your standard eggs, bacon. Not that anything is wrong with that. Chad over here loves scrambled eggs and bacon, but it had some different things that made that a little special. Lunch and dinner is going to go to Tusker House. Again, just something different. If this is your first time, you don't want the same food over and over. So Tusker House is a great one to fit that bill for lunch and dinner. And then for vibe, we had a tie. So we said Garden Grill really has a cool theme. Like Chad said, it rotates through. You can see part of living with the land. And then also some of the food and they make plant-wise from Living with the Land is brought into the food for Garden Grill, which is just a really fun experience. You can't not also say that Cinderella's Roll Table has an amazing vibe. I mean, you're inside the castle. Take what you will. We think it's super expensive, but that doesn't take away that it's got an amazing theme. All right, so that wraps up our journey through the parks. And now let's hop on that monorail and head to the resorts. First up is Beach Club. So Beach Club has Cape May Cafe. It is obviously in the Beach Club. This is only during breakfast. Cape May Cafe is opened for lunch and dinner, but Minnie, Goofy, Donald, and Daisy are there for breakfast. This is a super cute breakfast. It used to be really nice, but some COVID things, I guess, changed their menu. And so it's not as great as it used to be, but it is still super cute. And it's also one that is not as popular. So if you missed out on some other reservations, this could be a good one to snag.
Absolutely agree. Next up after that, we have Ohana's at the Polynesian. This is the only place that you can meet Lilo and Stitch.
Yes.
But Mickey and Pluto are also there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, breakfast is the only character option, but obviously we're not talking into all that today, but the lunch and the dinner at Ohana is amazing.
Amazing. Absolutely amazing.
So even if you don't want to go for characters, Ohana is great for lunch and dinner, just not those characters.
Just keep in mind reservations go really fast.
Mm-hmm. Put that towards the end of your reservation.
Oh, yeah.
And then we're going to go through the other 4 character dining options on resorts. So Wilderness Lodge, we talked about this a little bit last week, but they have Artist Point. So Storybook Dining at Artist Point. This is open for lunch and dinner and features Snow White, the Evil Queen, Dopey, and Grumpy. Interestingly, the Queen interaction is the big draw here. She does not come to tables. You go to her. And people just love that. And then they have a poison apple dessert that is pretty cool. So the theming in this restaurant is really cool. Over at the Contemporary, you'll find Chef Mickey. This is that iconic character dining. It's open for breakfast and dinner. You're going to find your Fab Five there. So Mickey, Minnie, Goofy, Donald, and Pluto are there. Good food. You're paying for the characters though on that one.
Middle of the road food. Not great, not terrible.
Yeah, you're paying for the characters on that one.
Very high energy.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then the last 2 are probably what we would consider like the higher end dining experiences. So the first one is 1900 Park Fair. This is in the Grand Floridian. It is open for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And it features Mirabelle, Cinderella, Aladdin, and Tiana. This is probably our favorite breakfast not in the parks. Mm-hmm. And it rivals best breakfast overall. If we're looking at just character dining, it was fantastic.
Definitely head-to-head comparison.
Yeah, the strawberry soup is amazing. We still talk about the breakfast pizza, like the croissant pizza. Just fantastic. Great food. The characters are interesting here, just kind of a mix, but still cool. It's the only place you can have food with Mirabelle and Aladdin, so that's pretty cool. And then the Riviera is the new resort over on the Skyliner, and this has Topolino's. Now, Topolino's is open for breakfast and dinner, but breakfast is the only time you can eat with characters, and that's typically Mickey, Minnie, Donald, and Daisy, and it's all Parisian, French inspired. So it's a good meal. So that wraps up the resorts. So we're going to do the same thing like we did with parks. If you are a first time to Disney World guest or going for your one and done kind of trip, we'd say the overall winner here is 1900 Park Fare. Again, we loved the breakfast here. It was spectacular. It was a great way to start our rest day. I have heard that the dinner is amazing as well. We have not done the dinner, but the breakfast was fantastic. And I've heard great things about the dinner. The best breakfast we're going to give to Ohana. The breakfast food is pretty standard, but the fact that you can see Lilo and Stitch there and you can't find Lilo anywhere on property really. And Stitch is kind of one-off. You can sometimes see him at a distance or a dance party or whatever, but you don't have character interaction with him. That makes this a best breakfast for us. And then best lunch and dinner, we're going to give to Storybook Dining. It just has amazing theming. It has really good food. And that kind of evil queen aspect with the villains really makes that one unique. And then we had to give best vibe to Chef Mickey. Like we said, it's not the most amazing food. It's good food. You're not going to be like, oh, that was terrible. But
it's one of those, you're there for the characters.
Yeah, so. And you're inside the Contemporary. You get to see the monorail pass by. So best vibe definitely to Chef Mickey, but just a head nod over to Topolino's too. The views from Topolino's are really nice.
Absolutely.
And then we wanted to wrap this up with just a little hidden gem alert, and that's the character dining over at the Four Seasons Orlando. This is kind of a dining experience that flies under the radar and most people don't know about it. It is the Good Morning Breakfast with Goofy and his pals at Ravello. I'm sure I just completely butchered that name. It's Ravello is how I'm going to call it, located inside the Four Seasons Resort in Orlando. It's technically not a Disney-owned resort, but it's right on Disney property, just minutes from the parks. This breakfast is typically offered on Thursdays and Saturdays, so very random 2 days. It does have occasional additional days during peak times. And like I said, the lineup is usually Goofy, Mickey, and Minnie. They're all dressed in their stylish resort outfits that you won't find anywhere else on property.
So the food is high-end buffet style, with an omelet station, fresh pastries, upscale twists on classics, and surprisingly more relaxed, uncrowded atmosphere than many Disney resort locations. Here's the best part though. It's often easier to get a reservation here. And even parking is a breeze with the complimentary valet included for dining guests.
Yeah, so this is a fantastic option if you're looking for shorter wait times with a less hectic vibe, great food quality, and a unique setting for character photos. So if Chef Mickey feels a little too chaotic for you or you're looking for something a little different on a rest day, this is really a true hidden gem worth checking out.
And there you have it, folks. From Mickey-shaped waffles to magical encounters with princesses and pals, Disney World's character dining has something for everyone. Whether you're looking for a royal breakfast, a lively lunch with your favorite pals, or a storybook dinner you won't forget.
Remember, character appearances can change, so always double check before your trip. But the memories, those are guaranteed. If you're planning a trip and feeling overwhelmed with all these choices, don't worry, I've got you covered. Feel free to reach out and I'd love to help you book the perfect dining experience for your next Disney adventure.
Thanks again for joining us today on Ports and Palaces. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a review if you enjoyed today's episode.
Until next week, I'm Kirsten.
And this is Chad.
Happy travels from all your ports and palaces.
This podcast is sponsored by Ports and Palaces Vacations. Whether you are wanting to check out a new port along a cruise line or see the palaces of Disney and Universal, our travel advisors make your dream trip a reality. Your next trip is just a click away.